the Immigration Act, right to rent, there was some doubts, I think is probably about, I can't remember the date now, but it was probably about 6 months ago, when the right to rent was actually challenged in court. And the court sort of really did say, sort of, you know, with the right to rent, are you discriminating? But nevertheless, that seems to have gone quiet. So as landlords, we are still responsible to do right to rent checks when you have a new tenant going in. Now, normally what we would do when we're checking a tenant is we would obviously get some form of photographic ID and something to ensure that they are who they say they are and where they live. Obviously, with lockdown now, you can't do that, but you can ask the tenant to submit a scanned copy and also a photo of their original documents or a photo of their original documents, and they can email them or use a mobile app. And then you can check that out by arranging a video call with the tenant, and obviously with their face in the video camera, they hold up the original documents next to the camera so you can actually check it is actually them. And as a mark of due diligence, always record the date you made the check and mark it as an adjusted check that's been undertaken on whatever date it is due to COVID-19. Just in case the tenant, and there are some very few instances where the tenant doesn't have the right documents, you can or you must actually contact the landlord's checking service if the tenant can't provide these documents from the prescribed lists, and we have prescribed lists as to what is and isn't acceptable. So how long is this on for? Well, basically, these measures will remain in place within 8 weeks of the temporary measures being lifted, and you'll need to. And what will happen is that obviously the government will inform us, and then in turn, if you're one of our managed, if you're managed through us, we'd actually arrange that anyway. But the government will actually advise us of that. And agents within those 8 weeks will need to carry out full retrospective checks on tenants. So it's basically like doing a proper right to rent check at that time. Just a word of caution that because of COVID-19, some individuals may be unable to evidence their right to rent, and therefore it's vital that you remember the processes that are in place in order to avoid discrimination. Just wanted to put in, obviously with this lockdown, as to regards to virtual viewings, and I added market appraisals in there because the situation with regards to the current lockdown guidelines is that is a viewing or a market appraisal essential or non-essential? Now, I think really the situation is that the government guidelines are there, but they may not help you actually do it. But my personal view is that at the moment as a company, we're not actually doing face-to-face viewings. Even sort of not, I know there are some agents who are, where they are going to unlock, leaving the door open, stand back, let the tenant go round, and then lock up when they're gone. That's up to the individual company and also the individual landlords, but we are not pushing that because it really, I think, sort of is non-essential unless somebody is homeless, and you've got to prove that they are homeless to do that. So we've actually carried out we did a load of video walkthroughs. We've also now done Video X, which is like stitching a load of photographs together. And indeed, I think sort of there are a lot. We did have a tenant who was happy to go ahead on the video walkthrough, and I think sort of we've found that people are actually sort of making a decision on those. Of course, there are some who won't. But if you're geared for that, then there's no reason why you still can't let properties. You've got the right to rent obviously sort of with digital documents. We have been asked to do market appraisals on both lettings and sales, and with that we've done that sort of virtually, so sort of remotely, where we've booked an appointment. We've then sort of asked some various questions, and then with a face-to-face FaceTime or Zoom call, with obviously photographs and hopefully and preferably a video, whereby then we've managed to give them a good price, a suitable price for the market, and then sort of listed it with the help of obviously the landlord or seller.